Often social realism films have the title of the film at the beginning of the opening sequence, such as Looking for Eric and Fish Tank. However, I decided to have my titles more similar to the social realism film Billy Elliot because of the fact that I have a mixture of shot locations and different shot types in my opening sequence, so I did not want my audience to get confused by adding more shots, so instead I decided to embed them into my beginning shots of locations. This also makes the audience more interested, as instead of only looking at a building or a piece of rubbish, my audience can find out who is present in the film and who helped create it. As neither the shots nor the titles are particularly distracting, the audience eyes easily glance over both, which is one reaction I got from my peer assessment. I then decided to have my film title at the end of my opening sequence to separate my opening sequence from my film. The stereotypical locations of a social realism film that I have used at the beginning of my opening sequence is similar to such films as Fish Tank, Room for Romeo Brass, and This is England. This is so I could display what sort of class the characters are from in a way that my audience are familiar with, as my target audience are those who have often watched social realism films and are familiar with the popular ones, so they will be able to easily link that my characters are of low class. The prop of the pregnancy test introduces the plot to my audience, as they know that the film will be about a pregnancy on the first shot that the character is introduced with the prop. I got my inspiration from the film Fish Tank for my costumes. This is because the character Mia comes from a similar social background to my characters, and for the character Mia, the costume is suitable for what she has been doing in the scene, which was dancing and then walking home. For my female character, she is currently at home about to do a pregnancy test. I thought for this situation the character would want to be wearing something comfortable, so I have placed her in a casual hoodie and a tracksuit bottoms. For my male character, I have placed him in a similar hoodie and tracksuit bottoms, as the character is walking to the female character's house. For these circumstances, I did not feel as if the character would dress any more formal, as he is seeing his girlfriend that he has been with for years, so there will be no thought that he needs to impress her. My aim with my editing whilst introducing the characters was to have corresponding shots, meaning that when one character was shown with the matching action shot, the other would too. However, there were occasions when I chose to break the same. For example, my main character is first introduced using a medium long shot, so the audience can see his facial expression and also the background. Instead of introducing my other character with the same or a similar shot, I decided to use an over-the-shoulder shot revealing the pregnancy test. This is because the film is more to do with the pregnancy than the character, so I wanted to reveal the plot line before I introduced the second character. Whilst researching the opening sequence of social realism films, I particularly focused on Fish Tank and Kidulthood, due to them both stereotyping their characters during the opening sequence, which enabled me as an audience member to get a sense of what the film was about and who the characters were. For example, both films have the convention of a lower class society that is often seen in social realism films. Kidulthood does this by dressing their characters in an untidy school uniform with hoodies, which can be associated with the possible social class. I have done something similar by having my characters in tracksuits, which is a similar stereotype present in Kidulthood in order to show the audience the obvious link to the social realism genre and the character class. I used the stereotype of my character's social class further by gaining influence from the locations in Fish Tank. The locations in Fish Tank are conventional of a social realism film, as it appears run down, and then therefore the audience are able to be introduced to the character's background and the genre of the film. I used a similar device by having the antagonist in my film visit stereotypical social realism locations, such as him being introduced outside a nightclub. As well as the shot linking to the genre of my film, it also displayed how the characters may be quite reckless and often visit this location.